Penguin Random House Audio presents The Upcycled Self, a memoir on the art of becoming who we are, by Tariq Trotter, read for you by the author with Allyson Johnson and Rhett Samuel Price.
To my parents, to Minnie, and to Rich. Prelude. Our lives are a response to the call of our childhoods. Somewhere in the echoes of the past, we find our truest selves. Who am I? Who are you? Who we become is both uniquely shaped by our own choices and experiences and an artifact of the worlds that raised us. To begin to know oneself is to start the process of excavating the truth of who we are from those layers of influence. For so many of my generation, the world we came up in was one of seismic transformations. The destructive waves of drugs, violence, and incarceration that swallowed so many people we loved, and the art and beauty and hope we created in the cataclysm. But doing the work of finding our truest essence means taking a deeper look at all of it. It's a call and response. You call out into the void, "Who am I?" A chorus replies, "You are all of us." I am the product of people whose love propelled me out of cycles of violence that they themselves couldn't even escape. I'm also a child of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, specifically the Philadelphia of the 1970s and 1980s. The values that city stamps on its youth are like brands seared into our flesh. Philadelphia is a city between worlds, 90 minutes south of New York City and 4 hours north of the Mason-Dixon line. Our history leaks a particular radiation into the blood of those born within its city limits. Loyalty, fight, pride, honor. Every piece of my environment contributed to the shaping of my character. Mine is a communally built self. We're never simply self-made. The work of understanding our own humanity begins by returning complexity to the people who shaped us in lieu of granting sainthood. The parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers and friends, even betrayers in my memories now, they go from being the superheroes and villains of my childhood to mere mortals, struggling with the same dependencies and decisions as I do, and under even greater stress. The choices they made influence my own, then and now, until I consciously decide differently. Maybe this sounds familiar to you. You may see yourself in this story of going from the judge and jury of those who raised you to their simple witness or maybe even their advocate. You might see your people in the truths of my own. Maybe as I reveal my family and all their power and beauty and weakness and failure, you'll learn to love yours a little harder too. Maybe as I reveal myself and all my truth and fear and inspiration and complications, you'll go searching for yourself a little harder too. What if we chased the threads running through the quilted patterns of our lives and pulled them? What if we trusted that tugging at them wouldn't make us less, it wouldn't ruin the tapestry? What if we totally let them come apart at the seams and undid the stitches of ourselves that no longer served us, forgave them, and wove new legacies of old scraps like G's Ben quilters, creating intricate arrays steeped in our own history? What if we trusted the upcycle? If we do this work for and with and in ourselves, how will our world begin to change? Will we be more compassionate? As we heal ourselves, recognize, grieve, and release the cycles of brokenness we've inherited and often pass on, can we more patiently and gingerly handle those who are cracked and sharp around the edges? So many of us learn to hunch ourselves in the face of rejection and negation and deprivation. What if we straightened our spines, fixed every vertebrae? We're all worthy of restoration, of visibility, of dignity. Our humanity matters. It's not easy to upcycle yourself. It's harder still to show how you did it, but I'm going to try. For the ones who asked, and for the ones who need to know, and for the generation coming after. We're all so used to hiding in shame, right? Deliberately discarding the parts of ourselves that make us exiles, casting away what is unapproved, hiding in half-truths, repressing our unintegrated shadows until they come pouring back out of us like ghosts on All Saints' Day. But facing those shadows It's how you heal from life. Here's how you accept and integrate all of the broken pieces of you, jagged from change and consequence. Take them up and dust them off. Consider them one by one. Be brave enough to love and let go what is no longer needed for this phase of your life. Piece back together what is foundational and give it a home. Reintegrate them and put them to use. They belong to you. They are you, the upcycled self. Part 1. Who are your people? Destruction can come in an instant. Chapter 1. The Fire. The story of my life starts with the fire. A lot of people know that I burned down my family's home when I was 6 years old, but are not aware of the magnitude of that moment and all that began to unravel after it, that I've never spoken of publicly and rarely even to those closest to me. You sometimes hear stories about people who have lost it all and rebuilt their lives, but what I learned at a young age is that sometimes shit is just lost forever. Or the cracks are so bad the building blocks never quite Lego fit the way they once did. We lost everything we had in that fire. Yes, material goods are just things, but the things we collect and value, especially when we're young or broke or struggling, are extensions of who we are. Our visible, tangible losses then represent something deeper. In the fire, we lost ourselves. No one ever blamed me. My mother offered enormous grace knowing that I was just a child, but once you burn down your home, everything else is small in comparison. That experience of total loss became the basis of all that I am, even though my mother can't see that now. Born Cassandra Cassie Goldsmith, my mother changed her name to Trotter and added a Muslim name, Celia, when she married my father, Thomas Linwood Trotter. At the time of the fire, my mother was almost 30 years old with 2 sons, having finally escaped the negligence of the projects for the safety and greener pastures of middle-class Mount Airy. She, my older half-brother Keith, and I lived on the 1100 block of East Sharpneck Street, a row home in a city whose architecture tells nuanced stories of class, race, and legacy. Philly is known for its row houses, conjoined structures sharing a block-long black tarred roof and gray pebbled concrete sidewalk. But there exist subtle differences depending on the presence or absence of a front porch, stoop, or lawn. North of North Philly and bordered by Germantown, Chestnut Hill, Cheltenham, and Olney, Mount Airy row homes not only had porches, they shared long, lush grass plots in the front. It wasn't exactly suburbia, but for us, the move to Mount Airy cued the theme song from the Jeffersons. Well, we're moving on up. We rented the house from my great-aunt Vivian, Aunt Viv to me. The Aunt Viv was from South Philly, but she lived in Mount Airy and owned properties throughout the city. She was the younger sister of my maternal grandmother, Minnie, but so close in age to my mom that the two of them were like sisters themselves. The Viv rented it to us, but for all intents and purposes, given all the sharing and overlap in our family, that house belonged to my mother. It wasn't fancy, but it was the house we needed, neat and clean with some beautiful pieces inside. We had a hi-fi component set with a radio, an 8-track player, and a record player. My mother always had the hi-fi going whether we were entertaining or home alone, and the songs and sounds from that unbroken musical flow still stick with me. Our furniture was velvet, burgundy, and gold, as I recall, and the blue low carpeting went wall to wall on the house's main floor, stopping at the vinyl tile kitchen. We had a finished basement with a movie projector, which is where my half-brother spent a lot of his time. I had a complete bedroom set with a huge closet. Its sliding door took up an entire wall. I even had my own television in the room. Like I said, we had things, and the things reflected something back to us about who we were, who we aspired to be. Every item in that house is etched in my memory, cataloged in a list of the lost. The headboard that matched the dresser in my bedroom, the elegant china cabinet in the dining room, the way the hi-fi component set lifted up on its mechanical gears. But I can't remember any of it without a feeling of dread.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?